Alright, welcome to my YouTube channel. I mostly do top 10 videos. I did a top 5 Star Trek games video, and it did fairly well. It did better than most of my videos do in like the first day. Usually I only get like 300 max views in the first day. I did like 1,400, so I figured I'd kind of celebrate a little bit by doing one of these tier list videos. I am working on a top 10 Star Trek, the original series episodes video. I've been working on that one for quite a while. I will do a top 10 probably of each of the series, but the other ones are going to take a lot longer just because the series are a lot longer. I mean, you're talking about, what is it, like 22 to 27 episodes per season in Star Trek The Next Generation. That's a lot of shit to get through. So let's start off with in chronological order here. I'm gonna go through and do a tier list. I'm not gonna go into huge detail here because, like I said, I am gonna be covering my top 10 episodes of each of these series. So let's just go through them, and I'm gonna explain why I choose the way I choose. And I just want to let you all know that your choices are not gonna be the same as my choices. Different tastes and opinions is the spice of life. So if you have a different opinion, tell me in the comments below which series you like the best and which ones you like the least and why. And if you've got a tier list video, make sure to link it in the comments. I'm always down to check out these videos. They're always interesting to me. Alright, so let's start off with the original Star Trek, the original series. Let's see. This one is... I do love it. There's a lot of people that don't. There's a lot of people that... I have a lot of friends that love Star Trek and they haven't even seen it. They won't even watch it. I started out watching... So my dad was a huge Star Trek fan, and he watched the original series, and he was one of those classic old dudes that were like, Kirk did it first, Kirk did it best, and just never watched anything else. So my first Star Trek experience was actually Star Trek the Motion Picture. And oh my god, that shit was so boring. I found it so boring, and I was like, how does he like this stuff? And I didn't watch Star Trek until many years after he'd passed away, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a try, because my dad was actually who got me into Gundam and stuff as well, and Gundam's like one of my favorite franchises of all time. So I went back and I think I watched Wrath of Khan, and Wrath of Khan blew me away. I love that movie. But I was like, you know what? Let's just watch the original series. Let's watch it from start to finish. I watched the whole thing, and then recently I watched all the episodes I like the best. That's how I'm doing my top 10 video. So anyways, let's take Star Trek, the original series. The problem is, although it's got some of the greatest episodes in sci-fi history, I've got to say, it's about 50% stinkers. Like, there's maybe half of the episodes are, like, really good, and then the other half are, like, really bad. But depending on my mood, even the bad ones I enjoy. So we're going to go, I think we're going to go B tier for Star Trek, the original series. I love, Dr. McCoy is still my favorite Star Trek character of all time. I love the dude. Spock's great, obviously. Captain Kirk, Sulu, Uhura, Scotty, Chekhov, they're all great. I love them all. It's got such a great cast of characters. All of them are so well developed, surprisingly, because Star Trek, even up until probably Discovery, Star Trek wasn't serialized. All the episodes were kind of like Monster of the Week style. So it was cool to actually like see the interactions between the characters, see them grow and change how they interact with each other based on how well they know each other, and their feelings for each other grow throughout the series. And I really love that with the original series, and I feel like that's the strongest part of the original series. That's its biggest strength, I feel, is all the characters' relationships and stuff like that. So let's B tier for that. Next up would be, of course, Star Trek The Next Generation. So this one I had watched a couple episodes after school when I was a kid. I don't know if it was on before or after a show that I was looking forward to every day after school. So I would watch that, and I wasn't too big on it then, but as I got older, I went back and I watched it all. And my buddy Mike, or DG Online as some of you might know him, has recently gotten into Star Trek. I gave him a list of all the best episodes from each series. and like the best and mandatory episodes from each series. So he's been going through and watching those. By the way, if you want that list, let me know. I can post that somewhere. I know I've posted it on our Discord a couple times, so if you want to join the Discord, click the link. It's in the comments below, or the description, I guess. And let me know in the Discord if you want that list. I always have it saved on my phone, so I can just post it at any time. Anyways, so DG's been watching through the Next Generation. He hasn't watching the original series because, like most of my friends, they find it too campy. I have no problem with camp. I watched the 1960s Kamen Rider series and loved it. So I've got no problem with camp at all. But the Next Generation, the first 2 seasons. So this is my friend Mike. He tried getting into Star Trek because his brother loved Star Trek: The Next Generation. So Mike started the series at season 1 and just fell off immediately. And I told him the same thing I told my wife. I was like, you don't watch seasons 1 and 2 of The Next Generation, because there's maybe like 6 or 7 good episodes in that whole 42 episode run there. There was a lot of issues behind the scenes in the filming and writing process of The Next Generation, so it's a complete mess, the first 2 seasons, but there are some good episodes in there. Even including the first 2 seasons, the entire series is really, really good. So I gotta go A tier for Star Trek: The Next Generation. Much like the original series, the cast is so well done. Watching them evolve over the course of the series is incredible. Again, super impressive given that it's more so a Monster of the Week episodic series. You get to see all the characters interact with one another and grow alongside each other, and it's just such a great series that just takes a look at the human condition and how we would interact with different species, different anomalies, stuff like that. It's just, and great storytelling. Like, some of the 2-part episodes are some of, if not the best episodes in the entire franchise. So it's really hard to put it anywhere less than A tier. Now, next up would be Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine is a series that I don't dislike. I was talking with my friend Finney the other night, and we were saying how Deep Space Nine is a great series when it's great. In fact, Deep Space Nine might be the best series when it's great, but there's so many, like, inconsistencies. Like, you've either got, like, the best arc ever, or you've got the most boring Bajoran religious shit episodes. Like, there's so many episodes in Deep Space Nine that I was just, like, beating my head against the wall, waiting for them to finish. But then there were so many episodes where I was like, holy shit, this is incredible. I can't believe they're doing this in a Star Trek series. So, Deep Space Nine, I'm gonna have to put the same as the original series. It's really good, but it's just so inconsistent. It takes more risks than probably any of the other Star Trek series ever, I think. Maybe the most intelligent risks, because there's definitely other ones on here that take bigger risks, but this one is the biggest risks, and all their big risks seem to pay off. Like, every time they take a big risk, it always pays off in Deep Space Nine. Whereas in other series that we're going to talk about later, the big risks are kind of like, I don't know if the writing's just flawed or they just didn't think it out properly. But anyways, Deep Space Nine, fantastic series, highly recommend it. There are some episodes or some spots in the series that will drag just due to the weird religious Bajoran undertones. I don't know why they do that shit. So, next up after Deep Space Nine is Star Trek Voyager. So Voyager, I was told before I watched Voyager, everywhere online, and like this was like a long time ago, everywhere online, like if you were on like forums, anything like that, Star Trek forums, anything like that, Facebook, Twitter, let's see, like Reddit and stuff like that, everyone's always like, would always tell me like, oh, Voyager's the worst one, don't watch Voyager, Voyager's shit. And like the reasons kind of made sense at the time, but after watching it, none of the reasons really make sense. Their reasons are usually like, Janeway breaks protocol, Janeway's acting like she's in the Wild West, she's fucking breaking all the rules, and shooting from the hip, and is just a bitch. And it's like, if you were stranded, I don't remember how far they're stranded, but they're like fucking like 300, they're like 300 years away from getting home. They're so far away from help. They have no help. You're gonna have to bend the rules. Let me tell you something. People will love Captain Kirk and hate Captain Janeway for the exact same reasons. It's ridiculous. I don't understand it. To me, Voyager is so damn good. It takes what the original series intended to do, which is you're exploring strange new worlds. They're super far away from Federation space. They're interacting with new species. The only difference here is with Voyager, they're forced to do it. And they've got the better technology, you've got better cinematography, it's just everything's better. Voyager is like the original series, but with more technology. They're even more secluded because they can still call for help in the original series, but they really can't until maybe like the last season or second last season in Voyager. Voyager, I just love it, man. I love that aspect of being trapped out there by themselves and trying to make a go of it, and the utter hopelessness when they first get there, and then as they slowly work their way back, they're slowly getting like cutting years and years off of their trip back, and it's just a thing of beauty to watch. Honestly, it's pure. It doesn't have any crossover elements with the other ones really. So, and when it does, it's very minuscule and it's done really well. You could really watch Voyager and not watch any of the others, and you would be okay. Where I feel like with Deep Space Nine, you kind of have to watch The Next Generation. You don't have to, but you definitely would get more out of it, I feel, if you did. You guys are going to judge me big time on this, but Voyager is probably my favorite Star Trek series, if you can't tell just from what I'm saying. There's definitely flaws, but there's flaws with every series. Some of the flaws, I guess, would be like a lot of the characters are a bit too stiff, but that was, again, some like behind the scenes bullshit was kind of a part of that. I think it was Rick Berman wanted them to show like no emotion or something so that the alien characters seemed to stand out more. I'm not too sure. And I hate Neelix. He's so annoying. But I love all the other characters with Tom Paris, Harry Kim. The Doctor is like one of my favorite characters of all time. Even Janeway and Chakotay, absolutely love them. 7 of 9 is great. She brings some fresh stuff to the series and the franchise, really. It's such a good series. It's got to be my favorite, potentially. All right, so let's move on to after Voyager. You know what I missed out? I forgot the animated series. I have been watching the animated series. I'm only like a little bit in. I'm not super deep into the animated series, but I do like it. I would say it's about I want to say it's like a C tier because some of the episodes are like on par with the original series, honestly, but some of them are like way out there, and I understand like why, but sometimes the out there ones are really good because there's stuff you couldn't do back in like the 60s and 70s on TV with live action that you could easily pull off with an animated series. So I think that's pretty cool that they were able to actually tell some really good stories with the animated series, and they do revisit some things from the original series, which is pretty cool as well. So it's definitely C tier. It's not the greatest. I understand why a lot of people don't watch it, but it's still worth a watch. I mean, there's a lot of it that just feels like you're watching a TOS episode, just shorter. It's just like a sped up TOS episode, kind of, because the episodes are only half an hour instead of a full hour. Next up would be Enterprise. Star Trek Enterprise. A lot of people hate Enterprise. Enterprise is kind of responsible for the big drought, the big Star Trek drought back in the day. Now we've got so much Star Trek, we don't know what to do with it. We got so much Star Trek, people are finding multiple reasons to hate it all. But Star Trek Enterprise, honestly, I really, really enjoyed it. Season 3 I kind of hated. So the first 2 seasons were more episodic, like the classic stuff. There was the odd like 2 or 3 part arc, which was done in Deep Space Nine as well. Deep Space Nine was definitely more serialized than any of the others before it, but still had quite a bit of standalone episodes. Star Trek Enterprise, I just loved how it was like the first Warp 5 ship, and they were exploring like their local planets. Like it was the first like interactions with the Andorians, the Tellarites. You get to see why Dr. McCoy, who's my favorite character, you get to see why Dr. McCoy is the way he is. You get to see why he doesn't trust Vulcans. You get to see why he doesn't trust transporters. You get to see all this cool stuff, and you get to see the founding of the Federation, and it's just incredibly well done, honestly, except for that 3rd season. And I know some people like the 3rd season the best, so I don't hold it against you if you do. It's just not for me. It's very serialized, and there's a lot of episodes in there that I felt were very like fillery, which is super weird if you're going to do an entire serialized season. You should make it pretty tight, and every episode has to be good in that case, right? Whereas if it's episodic, you can have a stinker here or there, and it doesn't doesn't ruin the trail, if you will. So Star Trek Enterprise, I'm actually going to put it on par with, I'm going to put a B tier. I'm going to put it on par with Deep Space Nine and Star Trek the original series. I might even bump, you know what, I'm going to bump down Star Trek the original series down to C tier, because I feel like Deep Space Nine and Enterprise are maybe a little bit better than it. I don't know, it's just, there's as much as Deep Space Nine is inconsistent, it's definitely more consistent than Star Trek the original series is. It's not that I don't like anything in C tier. I like them. I do like them a lot, but I just don't like them as much as I like Deep Space Nine and Enterprise. Oh, by the way, Season 4 of Enterprise is fucking incredible. If you don't want to watch Enterprise, go ahead, just, like, don't watch anything. Just watch Season 4. If you don't want to watch the series and you've seen all the other Star Trek series, and you feel like you're missing out on something, and you definitely are, but definitely watch Season 4. It's really good. The finale's kind of shit, but the real finale is, like, the episode before the season finale, so it's not a big deal that the finale's shit. Definitely check out Season 4 of Star Trek Enterprise. Okay, next up is Discovery, I believe. I believe it's Discovery. So, but Discovery gets a bad rap, and I understand why. I feel like the ideas behind Discovery are really good. I feel like there's a lot of cool shit that happens in Discovery, but it's just the execution can be so bad sometimes. And I feel like they focus so much on the Michael Burnham character that they honestly don't let you get to know any of the others. And to me, as I mentioned pretty much this whole video so far, that's like the biggest feature of the franchise, is the interaction between the characters developing, and just getting to know all these great characters and how they would react in different situations and stuff like that. And you don't really get that all that much in Discovery, because it focuses so much on Michael Burnham. And Michael Burnham, I started off liking her, and then I think it was Season 3, I was like, you know what, this is getting so ridiculous. Like, every single season, there's this, like, massive galactic level threat, and only Michael Burnham can save the universe. Like, it's so stale, and it wouldn't be that stale, but they've done it. They did it in Season 1, they did it in Season 2, they did it in Season 3, and then I saw the trailer for Season 4, and it was the same shit. And I was like, God damn it, man. I really wanted to like Season 4, because I saw some screenshots and stuff, and it looked pretty cool. I liked what they were kind of doing there. It looked like they're wearing, like, the old TOS movie uniforms and stuff like that, like an adapted version of that. I thought that was cool as shit. But then I saw the trailer, and there's this threat to the galaxy, and only Michael Burnham can save it. And it's like, God damn it, man. At first, I was like, I was totally forgiving of Michael Burnham. Like, she did some dumb shit at the very, very beginning of the series, and then she was supposed to be, I think, like, imprisoned. I can't remember now, because she, like, straight up mutinied. But then kind of her benefits kind of outweighed the shitty things. She just constantly breaks the rules and never is punished for it. She's, like, constantly breaking the rules, putting other people's lives in danger, including her own, and is rewarded for it time and time again. It's very frustrating. So because of stuff like that, and the fact that I do like Discovery's characters, but I don't get a chance to know them. Like, Tilly is definitely my favorite in Star Trek Discovery. She's awesome, but there's just not enough of her. Whereas in the classic Star Trek series, you'll have episodes focused around each character will kind of have their own, like, little episodes focused around them. Same with, like, Stamets and Dr. Hugh. They have a couple episodes around them, but it just focuses, like, on their relationship, but you don't really get to know them as people at all, and that's super disappointing, because I do like their characters. I guess one character that does do a good job of showing is Saru. They do a good job showing his background and stuff like that, but the rest of them you don't really get to know very well, unfortunately. So, a great idealistic series, but a lot of bad writing kind of drags it down. So I gotta go D tier with Discovery. I don't hate it, but I can't bring myself to watch the 4th season, which is a shame, because I've watched every other Star Trek and thoroughly enjoyed them all. So next up, I'm gonna go, I guess Short Treks would be next up. Short Treks I actually like quite a bit. The stuff I was complaining about with Discovery is kind of covered in Short Treks. There's a whole episode centered around Tilly. They're just like short little 15-minute episodes. They're quick, to the point, and you get to know some of the characters a little bit more. They show some stuff in between other series. You get to follow a little tardigrade around during the original series. That's my favorite episode of all of the short treks for sure. That was such a great episode, and it's an animated episode. I wasn't expecting to like that one, but it was absolutely incredibly well done. Although I heard they kind of stole the entire script from like a fan video or something, which is pretty shitty. Then there's also the last episode, at least the last episode at the time of this recording, shows a couple girls whose parents were on Mars during the big synth incident in Picard. That one was absolutely gut-wrenching. It was so well done. And then you've got like a comedic episode. You get to see kind of how the Tribbles were created. Overall, Short Treks is pretty good. I would put Short Treks probably at C tier. I like it actually more than Discovery. But like I said, it's just little bite-sized episodes, short and to the point. Now, next up, I don't know what came out first, if it was Lower Decks or Picard, but I'm going to start with Picard here. So Picard gets a lot of hate, and I'm not entirely sure why. I think a lot of people were expecting it to be the next generation, the next season of the next generation, but it's its own thing. It's completely its own thing. It takes place quite a few years after Star Trek Nemesis, like the Next Generation movie there, and it's just, honestly, it's serialized, it's action-packed, it tells a great story, and it grabbed me by the balls immediately and just dragged me through the entire, like, I started watching it this year, so season 1 was already out when I, like, completed, and they were already starting to air season 2 when I started watching Picard. And I watched the first episode, and I binged about the first 2 or 3 episodes. And then my wife walked in while I was watching it and was like, holy shit, this is good. Like, what is this? And I was like, oh, this is Star Trek Picard. And now I can't watch it without my wife in the room because she wants to watch every single episode alongside me. Now we've gone back. We're rewatching The Next Generation because she wants to know. She's interested in that. She wants to know all the characters a little bit better. And honestly, Picard has been so good. Season 2 has had some not so great moments. I think it was episode 8 was like the most recent one now. And at the time of this video, and it felt like mostly filler, unfortunately, and there's definitely some like lazier writing in the second season, unfortunately, but the first season was fucking probably my favorite Star Trek season of all time. And people will argue, well, it's not Star Trek because it doesn't have the episodic, there's no new anomaly of the week kind of thing, and I do love that stuff. I love that stuff, but I love this too. I'm of the belief that Star Trek can be so many different things. It doesn't have to be just one thing. It doesn't have to stick to a complete format, as we'll find with the next category. But Picard, honestly, right up there with Voyager for me. It might be my favorite. We'll see how season 2 ends. Maybe it'll bump down to the Next Generation's level. But honestly, I absolutely love Picard. It's so good. I'm probably a little biased because I love Romulans so much. I love the shit out of Romulans. And you don't get to see a lot of Romulans in the series as a whole. But when you do, it's always awesome. And Picard does such a good job showing what happened to the Romulans. And I'm a massive Star Trek Online fan as well. And they're kind of slowly like canonizing bits and pieces of Star Trek Online. So absolutely love Picard. If you don't like it, I kind of understand. There's some parts that I get it, like some people don't like. But overall, I have been absolutely loving it, and I'm excited to see how Season 2 ends, and I'm excited to see Season 3. It sounds like they're going to end the whole thing in Season 3, like that's kind of the plan, and I'd be okay with that. Patrick Stewart's getting super old, man. He's doing a great job, but I wouldn't want them to be like filming or something the 3rd season, and then something happened to Sir Patrick Stewart. That would be super unfortunate. So yeah, I think 3 seasons would be the perfect length for Picard, and I'm absolutely enjoying it, and I hope it continues to be good. Next up is Lower Decks, Star Trek Lower Decks. Absolutely loving this series, honestly. Everybody was explained it to me as like Star Trek but Rick and Morty or something like that. I don't really like Rick and Morty, but it kind of reminds me of, it's kind of got like that Futurama vibe to it. It feels like I'm watching Futurama, but it's on a starship. And like I said earlier, I think Star Trek can be more than one thing. I feel like Star Trek can do other things, and I feel like Lower Decks is a great example of that. You don't always have to focus on the captain of like the flagship starship, you know what I mean? I like that it's focuses on like kind of the little grunt ship, the Cerritos, and most importantly focuses on the lower decks, the lower ranking officers, all the ensigns and stuff like that. One thing I always found weird, I guess, about the other series is there's always like one super low ranking officer on the bridge. Like there's always like an ensign that's a bridge crew member. I always wondered like how did like the lieutenant commanders and stuff, or lieutenants even, feel about like they're just working in like the engineering room or something on the warp core, which is an important job definitely, but like they get passed up for this ensign to like pilot the ship and stuff. Like I know Wesley Crusher was on the bridge quite a bit in The Next Generation while he was on the Enterprise, and I just always kind of found that funny. But it does happen a little bit in Lower Decks too. You'll see these guys on the bridge every now and then, and you do get to know the bridge crew as well, but they're not the main characters. It's just kind of a goofy look at Star Trek, and I absolutely love it. I love how like all these crazy things that happen in all the Star Trek series happen in Lower Decks, and it's just like another thing because they're the Lower Decks. They're not in the heat of the discussions. They're not actually dealing with these problems. These problems are just there. They're just going on, but sometimes they're not even like really told about them. So they just have to like go on their day doing like menial tasks and stuff like that. And I just love it. They're like, "Oh, another Q on the ship." Like it's just stuff like that. It's just funny. There's so many in-jokes for longtime fans of the series, and it's just awesome. It's cool to see Star Trek not take itself so seriously, while also telling a great story. Like season 1 was mostly like one-off stuff, and so was season 2, but season 2 did a good job at the end of the season there, telling a pretty damn good story. There were definitely some pretty high stakes there, and I like how they kind of like a lot of the episodes, they just kind of like fumble their way to victory. It's so well done, so well written. I think out of all the new Star Trek, it might be the most consistently well written. I'm gonna put Lower Decks probably here, right up there with like Deep Space Nine, Enterprise. I like it a bit more. Dude, now I wanna bring TOS back up though. I feel like no, but as a whole, here's the thing: Star Trek, the original series, its best episodes are definitely better than Lower Decks, but there's so many stinkers. So yeah, the original series definitely belongs here in C tier. Lower Decks, there was not a single bad episode. Lower Decks was great from start to finish. Absolutely loved the whole damn thing. And it was funny as fuck, man. So the one that isn't in this is Prodigy, Star Trek Prodigy. I watched the first 3 episodes, and I know it's not meant for people my age, but I went in thinking, because I think it's the same crew that made like Star Trek or Star Wars, the Clone Wars, and I think it's called Star Wars Rebels. I don't know. I haven't watched that. And my buddy Finney just absolutely loves Star Wars, Clone Wars. I've watched, I think, the first 2 or 3 seasons of Clone Wars, and I did enjoy it. It wasn't good enough to really keep me coming back, but I kind of went in expecting it to be about that good, and it just really did not click with me. Didn't really like it all that much, which is a shame because there's so many like little Star Trek Voyager cameos, and as you can see, I fucking love Voyager. Like Janeway's like their hologram that teaches them how to like fly the ship. But I didn't really like it. Didn't really catch me at all. I hear Chakotay is supposed to be making an appearance in it, so I'm super stoked for that. But I'm gonna miss it because I can't bring myself to watch it. It's probably my least favorite out of all the Star Trek series, so it's got to go D tier right next to Discovery. I hope you guys enjoyed this little video here. I might do some more tier lists. I don't know. They're super easy to make, and it just fills the void in between my bigger videos that actually take quite a bit of work. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. Check out my top 10 videos. Let me know what you think. And you can also check me out on Twitch. I stream every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday night. I play JRPGs at twitch.tv/Dookie03. And then Saturday mornings, I play retro games. I've been working my way through the Sonic the Hedgehog series. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to tell me your favorite Star Trek series in the comments below and why you like them so much. Anyways, have a good one, guys, and I'll catch you next time.